In India, there is no word for entrepreneur, but we do have over 5,000 languages, which means there are a lot of words for absolutely everything else. There's a word for a business person who makes money, and on the other hand, there's a word for a social worker who solves a problem but doesn't make money. Not having a word for entrepreneur poses a particular challenge when you're trying to reach over 100 million young people with a mass media campaign about the power of entrepreneurs to solve problems by building businesses. Imagine for one moment that you're one of these young people growing up in India. You're 15 years old, you live in a slum or a village, and one day your teacher asks you, as teachers often do, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know the right answer, it's a doctor, teacher, a lawyer, and yet there's a moment, just a fraction of a second, where you think that you might like to be something else, but you don't have the words for it, and it's not the right answer anyway. What if we were to change the question? Instead of asking what do you want to be when you grow up, we ask what business would you start if you could to solve a problem? Vinod, aged 14 in a small school in South India, said, I want to tell you about my second-hand shoe story. Vinod's second-hand shoe business is for people who are poorer than him who can't afford to buy shoes. Vinod says he needs 3 pairs of shoes to start, and he'll begin by giving them away free of cost to 3 different people in 3 different communities. And Vinod says, when they wear my shoes, they'll talk about my shoes, they'll buy my shoes. Defund is about changing the question so that we get different answers. Defund is India's first venture fund for young people who live in poverty. It's built around them, their business plan, where they live, and the problems they face. We ask simply this, that young people aged 18 to 29 from low-income groups propose business solutions to their own problems, water, waste, energy, and to problems that haven't even occurred to us yet. We like to call it the quadruple bottom line. It's not just people, planet, and profit. It's about investing in a young entrepreneur in that community to solve a problem where he or she lives, generate income, return to the fund, and create jobs. And it's never been done before. But we do have to give it a try now because we're running out of time. By 2020, there'll be over 210 million unemployed people in India, and 90% will be below the age of 30. Currently, 50% of these young people are dropping out of school, which means the next generation workforce will be largely unskilled. Most of these young people will enter the unorganized sector by default. That's where 90% of India works. But they didn't choose to become entrepreneurs. They had survived, they went to work, and there's little value for what they do, which is probably why we're still searching for words to describe who is an entrepreneur in India. At the same time, India's ever-growing population means there are crisis-level issues of education, health, housing, pretty much anything you can think of. And while India's economy is growing, it can still never create enough jobs for everyone. Our solution is to ask millions of young people from low-income groups to choose to become entrepreneurs and to pioneer enterprises that solve problems where they live. But it's not a question we should ask quietly. So we're asking it through mass media, which impacts them the most. 10 epic movies will air on television channels nationwide, reaching over 100 million young people, and 600 million parents, teachers, and decision makers in their lives. Our radio show will reach over 1 billion people, and 50 books will go into government schools to teach entrepreneurial skills to children. Each B story asks young people to submit their business ideas to change to the B Fund by postcard, text, or just call. And when we ask, and young people answer, because they will answer, we have to be ready with new access to capital, risk capital, which is an investment, not a loan. An investment that says, I invest in you to change the world. If you win, I win. If you fail, I fail. But I need you to do what so far I have been unable to do. By 2020, we hope we will have invested in 1,000 young entrepreneurs across India. 500 will be women, and all of them will be pioneering enterprises that solve problems where they live. But that's the bigger picture. The first step begins with the pilot of the fund in Bangalore. Bangalore is India's Silicon Valley, a city of startups and self-made entrepreneurs who like the idea of investing in younger, much poorer entrepreneurs. We'll begin by asking our question about enterprise through a Muppet show aired on local cable channels, post to every slum, air our radio show, and get ready to answer the phone. We'll take young entrepreneurs through 3 levels of interviews, a site-level visit of verification, sector expert review, and business planning course until their business plan is ready to be presented to the investment committee. And that's when you decide, does the business solve a problem? Is the entrepreneur worth investing in? And if they pass the test, entrepreneurs receive an investment of up to £7,000 in tranches. We assign a mentor and visit every 3 months to be able to tell their stories. We're going to tell stories about impact, stories that quantify social as well as financial returns. We're going to tell you stories about happiness. Is the entrepreneur happier because he or she started this business? Is the community happier? Has the problem been solved? Has there been an impact in the sector other than the one that we invested in? So for instance, if we invested in solar, our girls are now going to school because they have light at night. We're going to tell all kinds of stories to inspire the next generation to choose to become entrepreneurs. 2 weeks ago, our phone rang on a Friday afternoon. It was Pravesh. He lives in a village outside of Delhi. He's 18 years old. He was calling because he wants to solve the problem of crime where he lives by starting a candle business. Pravesh says there are so many young people who've dropped out of school, they have no skills, and so they can't get jobs. They turn to crime to survive. Pravesh wants to make them partners in his company. He says he knows how to make candles from the leftover parts of beehives, and for the past 12 months he's been to every bank and microcredit organisation he knows seeking finance. But no one will give him the amount he needs to begin. Pravesh says he needs £200. Pravesh got very emotional when he heard he might just have a chance for the Defund. He said that he wanted to travel 3 hours by bus to come meet the people who just might give him that chance. We said, don't worry, we will come to you. Defund creates new access to capital for the poorest young people so they can succeed in eliminating poverty where previously we have failed. By asking the right question, providing capital as an answer, and communicating these new stories across India, we hope one day very soon when you come to India and ask young people, what is the word for entrepreneur? They will say me.